Hi, and welcome to Social Work Your Life. This is Kim, and we're starting the audio version of this now. Good morning, afternoon, wherever you are in the world at the particular time that you're listening to this. I wanted to talk to you guys today about techniques to break stuck patterns. We all get stuck. We all start get ourselves into cycles and start doing the same thing over and over again, and we may not realize it. We might find ourselves in relationships that are similar to past relationships. We may find ourselves in situations that are similar to past situations, or sometimes we just don't even move. We're like, I'm here, I'm okay, I'm not moving. When we were little, or even for my college age listeners, right? You have to change your patterns at least once a year, if not every semester, because you're picking new classes, you have new professors, you have a new schedule, and then every year you get to decide whether you're going to stay with the same people you're living with, or you're going to go in a different living situation, or maybe you go with the same people you're living with to a different living situation. So you're like in a dorm versus an on-campus apartment, or maybe an off-campus apartment. And so you change a lot when you're in college, but once college is over, you could literally find a place to live, and it could be a house, and you may stay in that house until it's time for you to like find, elderly housing, or even you just die. Like, that's the way it is. So it is possible to just be in your space and be in your space and be in your rut and your pattern forever. And for some people, it's exactly what they need. Right? They're like, I've been at my job for the past 25 years. I'm going to retire from this organization. I believe in the mission. I believe in the vision. I'm okay with the work I'm doing. And you just stay and you're content. And there's nothing wrong with that. So long as you are happy, you are healthy, both physically healthy and mentally, emotionally healthy. Yes, stay. But if for some reason you are not happy, you are not emotionally healthy, you are not physically healthy, or you are possibly causing damage to other people, being stuck isn't necessarily helpful. But it's human, and I don't want to negate the human factor that it takes us all a while to move. I have been in cycles with a certain individual over and over and over again, and I've wanted to be there. I've wanted to do it, and I've watched myself do it, and I know why I'm doing it, and I know why I'm kind of stuck, and I get it. And I have nothing but compassion for myself. I'm not judging me. I'm not mean to me. I'm not cruel to me. But at the same time, I was in a very toxic situation at work, and I left. I got an opportunity came and presented itself, and I was like, it's a risk, but I'm going to take it because I need to do something different. And it was great. I had a great year. It was a fabulous job. I loved the hell out of that job. And the opportunity wasn't there at the end of the school year. Nothing I can do about that. And I was okay with that because it opened other doors, and now I'm exploring other avenues, and social work your life has come up, and right, there's all these other things that are becoming opportunities because I looked around and said, this thing that I'm living in, I'm not okay with that anymore. And it takes that moment to move yourself out of stuckness. It takes that moment of, I'm not doing this anymore. And for some people, our length of time to get there is really long. And for other people, it's really, really short. And you're like, she didn't even give this a chance. Or he didn't even give this a chance. Like, he was here 2 weeks and he's out. I was talking to somebody yesterday, and they were telling me about their college experience and how they went to all these different college campuses to see all these different college campuses when they were younger. And they got onto Yale's campus and they refused to get out of the car. They're like, I'm not getting out of the car here. And her dad was like, you have to get out of the car. We're here for a tour. And they're like, nope, the vibe is wrong. This is all wrong, 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 wrong. I can't live here. And they're like, but we're here. And they went to Hartford College. Same thing happened. They're like, nope, this isn't my place. This isn't the right place for me. I'm not getting out of the car. When they got to the college this person chose in the end, they got off the exit, weren't even on campus. And they're like, this is it. This is where I'm supposed to be. I can tell immediately. And the family's like, what are you talking about? It's like, this is where I'm going to be. And this is where that's where they went to school. So it is a matter of getting yourself to the space where you're ready to become unstuck. You have to feel it. You have to know it. You have to get there. You have to sense the vibe, right? You have to just be done. I was dating somebody a while ago, and I would sometimes look at them and say, I have only so many patience points in a given day, and I've already spent a lot of them. I might be out of patience points at this point. Like, I might not have any more patience for, and I'll just fill in the blank, like we'll fill in the blank for whatever the situation is, figuring out what dinner is supposed to be, or the fact that the kitchen is a mess, or the fact that the living room's a mess, or the fact that, whatever. So as we move into what is it that I'm okay with, what is it not okay with, and like you begin to realize I'm not okay with this anymore. And often it's like a light switch. Oh no, I think I have to sneeze. All right, we'll just work through it. It's often like a light switch, right? Like, everything's fine, everything's fine, everything's fine, everything's fine, fine. Well, maybe I'm not fine with that, but whatever. Okay, maybe I'm a little more uncomfortable with that. Maybe I'm not doing so well. Maybe I am struggling with this a little bit. Maybe. And then there's the day where you're just like, I'm done. And it just happens. Like, I'm done. I'm just done. This isn't working for me anymore. I'm not getting the satisfaction. I'm not the amount of energy I'm pouring in. Whatever it is that gets you to done, you just become done. And then you change. Some people get to done and they're like, I have no idea what to do from here. Like, how do I even move forward from done? I'll also say, you can talk to your friends until you're blue in the face about how their situation sucks and how they have to do something about it. And they're not going to do anything about it. Not until they hit done. They have to get there themselves, and yelling at them and barking at them and giving them a hard time, that's not going to get them to done. They have to get to done on their own. You can help them see why they should be done, but also like encouraging and loving and say, I want what's better for you. I want fabulous for you. But I get why you're there, and I'll support you for as long as you need to be there. But once you hit done, dude, I'm right there and we're doing the work together. So, what does the work look like? Well, for some people, it might be, I have to figure out a different housing situation, right? At which point you start looking for apartments and you start figuring out how much money you're going to need. And maybe you have to save up a little. And so being done means I'm just waiting until I have enough money and then I'm out. I've talked to a number of people, not just one, but like a couple of people who are in situations that they're staying in because they think it's better financially and it's better for the children to not divorce and just to stay in that situation. And for one of the people, he even flat out told me, I don't think I'm brave enough to go. I think that was incredibly brave of him to even admit in the first place. I have no judgment against fear. I have no problem with somebody saying, I think I really want to do this thing, but there's no guarantees on the other side. And there aren't. Right? There's no guarantees that you're going to find a good relationship after a relationship ends. And there's no guarantees that you're going to have a really great job after you leave a job that's meh, right? You wouldn't be leaving the job that's meh without a reason. Like, there's a reason it's meh, right? So it doesn't mean that the next job is going to be really great. And so you hope so. You go on the interview, you're all bright-eyed and bushy-tailed and hope it's all going to be great. But again, there's no guarantee. And there's no guarantee that the next thing is going to be fabulous. But nothing changes without change. Patterns are patterns, and they stay patterns until somebody says, I'm no longer doing this anymore. And that's when patterns change. And so is it terrifying to pick up your life and move? Yes. Is it terrifying if other people are affected by your picking up your life and moving? God, yes. Yeah. Just because I wanted out of a relationship and I break up with the person doesn't mean I don't recognize the fact that that person is now in a situation they don't want to be in. Because I want a better situation, I've hurt them in a way. It doesn't always work that way, right? Like I get to choose, and sometimes in some situations, I don't care that the other person is hurting because I'm just done. But that's not always the case. And sometimes it's hard to look at a person and be like, I need to do something different for me, and that's really going to hurt you, and that's really hard for me. This life that we're living is not for the faint of heart. You don't necessarily get an easy pass at this life. Some people do. Oh God. Some people really do. Some people find their person when they're 20 and they're super happy for the rest of their lives, and they stay married for 60, 70, 80 years. And when they don't have their hearing aids, they know what the other person's saying just because they've been around them so long, and they know what they want for breakfast and they know what they want for dinner. And they get into grooves and they begin to look like each other. Oh. And for other people like me, that's not my story. That's not my story. That is not how my life has turned out. I'm blatant full disclosure. I am 46 years old and I've never been married. I've never met the guy. Or if I have, I don't know. So, all of that to say, moving on and being stuck, they're both uncomfortable, right? Being stuck, you get to stay in a situation that's blah. I didn't want to stay in the job I was in because it was blah. And I tried to make it better, but that didn't work. I tried really hard, but it didn't work. So I went to be a therapist in a middle school and a high school for a year. It was great. It was so good. But it didn't last. And that opened doors for other things to happen. And I began to think outside the box and do some other stuff that makes me really, really excited, like social work your life. I wouldn't do all of that if I hadn't allowed myself to move. And the first day on the job that I really, really loved, working with the middle schoolers and high schoolers, where I loved the job, my first day there, I put my head on my desk in the office they gave me, and I cried because I felt really alone, and I felt like I didn't know what I was doing, and it felt overwhelming. And I have to tell you, the office was a mess, and it took some serious redecoration to make it feel cozy and homey. But by the end of the year, I was sitting in my office with all the lights I had brought in and the decorations and the wall mural thing I had hanging up, and I was sitting on a yoga ball and I was typing some notes at the end of the day, and my door was open and the librarian walked by, and she stopped, she turned, she stared into my space, and she goes, "You created Hogwarts in your office in our middle school." And it was the best compliment she could have ever given me. But it didn't start that way. It started feeling like the biggest mistake ever. So, movement is good. Movement is what helps create momentum. So even if this movement, the first movement you make, not so fabulous, doesn't mean it's not going to help you find the path. But if you're not willing to take a step out and take the risk and move your feet just a little bit to shuffle around, find out what's going on, maybe look at apartments, maybe do some job searching, maybe start thinking about what does my dream future look like. There will be a course for that, right? What does that all look like? If you're not willing to just start branching out even in your thought processes, there's no movement at all, and there's no momentum, and there's no way to make it all happen. But if you're willing to open the door and take a look, and you're willing to house hunt in a realistic way and in a dream way, it opens doors, at least even inside your imagination, about what it is you're looking for and what it is you want. And that is what starts the little match going off to create a flame on a little votive candle, is enough to start making some of those changes that'll bring in more happiness and bring in more light and bring in more hope and bring in more joy. Because we all know we all need more happiness and light and joy. Thanks. We'll talk to you soon.